You guys ready? We call the March 3rd meeting of the IT Committee to call it to order. First item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have any public comments? Seeing and hearing none. Number 2, printer copier maintenance consolidation.
We're still targeting that transition to a consolidated billing as of April 1st. I have a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock with Proven to go over that, and then we have some issues with insurance certificates on all these lease copiers. They're covered in our blanket insurance, and if they don't have a certificate on file, Proven charges us, actually the leasing company charges us insurance every month on top of our lease amount, like $12, $15 a month. So I've been getting a certificate of insurance every time there's a leased copier from Randy Schultz and sending it to them so that they delete that, but it doesn't have the right wording. There's specific wording that they need on it. So we got to go through that tomorrow and get those all fixed. So tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, I should know what our new rate is for the maintenance and then work out this insurance stuff on the copiers.
Is there anything that can't wait till next month for us at this point on that process?
I don't think so.
I'm surprised sounds like a little bit of BS to sell their insurance as far as these maintenance contract people. Because on motor vehicles, you can have one insurance card that says fleet, and that covers everything that you own or you touch.
The problem is, if that's what they require, we have to follow.
Well,
I guess that's the, we can say no.
Yeah. $50,000.
As foolish as it might be.
Fleet.
Anything else on that consolidation?
No.
No other questions?
No. The only other one was new last month was probation, and I had talked to Tom and I think Tom. I'm not sure. I didn't bring my notes. And they'll be in the consolidated as well.
Good, good. Status of the 2015 network projects.
The backup server's in and going, and that's completed. The firewall upgrade, that was installed, I think the day after the board meeting, was actually on site physically. Not all the enhancements were rolled out. So it was functioning the way our old one did. The new functionality wasn't rolled out. That happened last week, Wednesday, which is interesting. Because what they said is it should, for the most part, it should work okay. Just a few outlier pieces of equipment that they don't know about or applications would be the only thing that didn't work. Well, it wasn't quite so simple, really. All day Thursday and Friday was spent on all the things that were missing. But out of this came the knowledge that there is an agency, Iroquois County Sexual Assault Advisory Services, yes, in the basement of the courthouse, and they have 2 computers that hook into our network so they can access the internet, which we never knew about. And then there was another one too, somebody I didn't know about, Aramark at the jail. A vendor that has a computer in the jail for placing their orders and things like that, and access our network. Now, the way it works is all the renters, we've set up that they're isolated, that they don't get anywhere near our server. They're just a pipeline out to the internet now. So we have that set up that they're really not on our network and they're not on our server. They don't have access to anything. So it's limited, but it is interesting that we continue to find things. So, but I think everything is up and going okay. I haven't heard really anything the last couple days, but a lot of issues. But we seem to have it okay.
Good. Progress is made. Any questions from the rest of the committee? Seeing none. IT policy?
IT policy, I didn't do anything on. I just sent Corey, I mentioned it to Corey last week, if he had anything for me, and it was all a surprise to him. So it was in amongst all this other stuff. So I said, what I'll do is send you the notes from the board meeting, the committee meeting when you were there, and we talked about this, so you're clear to what you committed to. I didn't get that done till this morning. So I sent him an email this morning saying, here's what you agreed to do, just can you follow up? So
It's something that we need to do.
Right.
It's not something that we need to do yesterday.
Right. I did also scan and sent him, and I did make copies for you. I don't know if I passed these out before, but this is the acceptable use policy that any of our employees that have access to a computer sign at the time they're hired. This was originally drafted by Tom, been used for a lot of years. I sent that to Corey too. See, when Corey was talking about the policy, he was really talking about like the infrastructure overall and the servers and the backbone, which this doesn't address. This is a user, not what programs can you put on, what's your policy for installing new programs, that sort of thing. So
my thought actually was that's not his forte, actually. I mean, what we're looking for is not under his input all that much either.
Writing a policy? No. He did say in the minutes, he said, Douglas stated he could provide us with the framework for a policy. So what I think we would address.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting, those are the December minutes, and then in the January minutes, it said, Crumweedy said, we're still waiting for an estimate on Douglas to provide us with the framework. So, it's a little change, but either way, I sent him that and said, can you help us with this or not?
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else on the policy, IT policy? AT&T contract review by Clifton Larson.
They did. I met with them. I had a phone conference with Clifton Larson Allen's phone consultants, and that's, I think I mentioned at last month's meeting, what they do is go in, similar to what that, was it Spyglass was the name of the company that we contracted with like 3 years ago, where they'll come in and contract for a percentage of the reduction that they get you. They look at your phone things for wrong charges, excess charges, and then get a percentage of the savings. So they did a cursory review, and they said that was complimentary. I didn't commit to any charges. I told them all our contracts were pretty new, but they could look at them. And you have this here. Really what they told us is that our phone costs are really, really good. A couple outliers. The voice over IP Flex, they say, is terrific rates. We're paying $17 a trunk. Most of their customers, even multinationals, are paying $35 a trunk. So that's considerable. They've also never seen a customer get a bundle of free long distance with their contract. And we get the first 200 long distance calls per trunk at no charge. So our long distance costs, the bills used to be $300 to $350 a month, and it's gone down to about $100 a month since we switched to IP Flex. So they said they've never seen that before. Data over IP Flex, that's the IP Flex, we get two bills, one for the voice portion and one for the data portion. They said most of their clients can't get fiber, and if they do, they pay $1,500 to $1,600 a month. We pay $1,330 as our flat rate, and then we have $82.60 in federal access fees on top of that. He said we should be able to increase up to 20 or 50 megabytes for a small increase if we need it in the future. And he said call them I should have said call AT&T. He said call AT&T about a year before the contract expires and ask them to drop our charges from like $1,330 to about $900. At that point, he said they should have recovered all their build-out costs, and they would be willing to more than likely drop the cost. POTS lines, that's all the what we used to call Centrex lines. It's Sheriff, 911, Highway, and public health faxes. That's about it. This is interesting, and this tells us why they're not moving it. He told me after 2019 and 2020, AT&T probably won't renew that service. We'll get pushed off to a different vendor, like Frontier. Okay? He said we're paying $36 a line, which is a good rate. Nothing wrong with that, and no improper fees or taxes. Then I go to State's Attorney Fax, which is just one line, and we're paying $85 a month right now. It's terrible. He said it should be $36, same as all our other POTS lines. And I said, I know I've been trying for 18 months to get them to move it from its own account to our POTS account so that we can pay the lower rate. And they absolutely just don't do it. He says they stopped supporting fax lines, so they don't want to move anything else to it. Which I said, that is probably why they keep ignoring me every time I talk about moving these fax. And I email them every month. Move these fax lines from IP Flex to POTS. Well, that makes sense now why they're ignoring it. I don't know. I guess we need to find a different vendor that will do that and move all of our old fax lines to it. But he said AT&T is moving completely away from all POTS lines. And so if fax, POTS, they don't want any of that. All they want is fiber. So, I don't know, I'll keep trying. Long distance, we pay 4.3 cents a minute. Kent said this is a good rate. He said the key thing that's good about our long distance bill is that we're not being billed in full minute increments, which is the bulk of what they see. So if you have a phone call, your minimum is always going to be a minute. And if you go a minute, 1 second, then you get charged for 2 minutes. We get billed in 6-second increments. So it's huge in terms of the time that we get charged for. So a lot of times, like if you think about a fax goes through, it takes 30 seconds. I see a lot of 30-second charges on the faxes. Well, think if instead every one of those was a minute instead of 2 cents, 4 cents instead of 2 cents. See what I'm saying? So we're paying within 6 seconds. and that's very good, he said. The only thing he said, be conscious of the looming end date, that September 17th of this year is our end date, so it doesn't move to tariff rates, which is astronomical. Yesterday in management, they did instruct me to try to start negotiations with AT&T and to get a new contract rate in place. They also asked me to look for different vendors. Yesterday I had Lyle help me look on the internet. There's just nobody else that provides long distance for here. Wireless, yes, but not long distance over IP Flex or whatever. So I'm not sure how successful I'll be in getting an alternate bid to what we have with AT&T. But knowing this thing about the 6 seconds versus 1 minute will be important for me to remember as we look at the new contract, that I make sure the new contract says 6 seconds again. Then cell phone, he said overall on the cell phones they look to be very strong rates. I sent him all the bills that we get. He didn't analyze the sheriff's because we just get the front page of that bill. So he didn't look at that. But the rest of them, ESDA, we pay $57 for only one line. He said having one phone, that's a really good rate. Public health, they have a shared plan with data, so about $60, 5 phones, about $60 a month, which he says is fine. That's a good rate. Highway has a shared plan, no data. They have 5 lines. It's about $32 a month. But remember, not data. He said, the key things he said about wireless is that we're keeping the cost low by maintaining a buffer. He didn't see that we're too close to like the limit on our minutes, so we're not buying too much. We're not in danger of going over and getting charged additional costs. That everybody seems, each of the departments seem to have done a good job of buying the right plan for their use. Same with getting the right users on the right plan. He said public health uses data, so they purchase data. Highway doesn't. They didn't purchase it. They didn't purchase it, but then they're also not using it. He said that's a big thing that he sees. People don't purchase it, and then they start texting and using data, and they get charged like a tariff rate for that. So lots of times they see a mismatch here, and that's not happening. So overall, he spent about a half hour and told me they can't do anything to help us.
Sounds good. But they can't help us.
Yes, exactly. He did not find that there's all kinds of overcharges or we're paying too much anywhere.
Any questions, observations about that presentation? Other IT issues?
2 things. We had another outage, 911, in the jail on Sunday. NIDA handled it. All I had was a couple texts. There's a problem. I contacted area-wide, and then 40 minutes later, it's fixed. So perfect. I did talk to area-wide. What they told NIDA on Sunday didn't seem to make sense to me.
You should have put the word religion in there.
Yeah, that's. But it had nothing to do. What Corey said yesterday is it didn't have anything to do with the backup server. He said it had to do with the updates on our server not being done. So we're several updates behind. Doing those means taking the server down. So that needs to happen. So he asked me, when do you want it? When do you want to schedule that? So I wrote him back and just confirmed you have to take it down, right? So it's got to be after hours. Any of these dates would work for me. So we'll work on that, but we need kind of a better process where regularly we're watching those.
And those are updates of?
Both the It's the operating software.
Okay, from, That
Windows,
company.
right,
Okay.
Windows.
Right, so they're glitching in the automatic backup is what I'm gonna call it, and then that's what happened, and then they've been watching it, and they're getting, he got more stats Sunday from what might be causing it. Because we had leaks go out for 7 hours 2 weeks ago on just serious, our connectivity is terrible, and we'll lose one machine, and the others will work fine. And on position 2, of the dispatch, we lost lead from about a quarter after 9 at night and 5:15 in the morning to just get back on that machine without seeing anything. I didn't call anybody, didn't do anything. I just let us run off the other 2 positions, and at 5:15 it came back on. But every other position ran fine. I've got 4 positions up there, and the other ones ran fine, except for leads on position 2.
Brian said it was a glitch in the way the backups run.
Yeah, the backup is, I'm going to say running, yeah. Because I repeated it to him when he told me that. And he said that they're monitoring it, and he got a lot more ideas from what he saw on Sunday on what could be causing it. But we have connectivity issues. I mean, we're constantly having to go in and there's like right after our tour drive, and we're constantly having to put those in the ones, so how come we're connected again? It's been going on for a while. And I told him about it way back when, but I mean, Brian's even seen it a long time ago when he was here, and it was just, you know, and then they have the same thing over at the jail and also the sheriff's office in the basement. Whenever, especially if we reboot the machine, we have to go in there and click on those drives because it will deactivate.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So I think that maybe that's what part of the issue is, I don't know. But Brian just told me that he got a lot more information on Monday, and they're getting close to figuring it out. Well, I know.
close to figuring it out, where you have the connectivity problem.
What's making the glitches happen?
Anything else from the committee? Is that,
The other thing,
oh, I'm sorry.
oh, sorry, I guess I
That's
shouldn't
fine.
talk, but the other thing is yesterday afternoon, Lyle asked me to check on a quote for a workstation for Clyde. Like emailing this vendor on the engineering company that's doing the boiler work and all that. He doesn't have email. So first they were sending it to me. Now we asked them to send it to Amanda, but it means they email questions or plans or whatever. She prints it out, puts it in his box, and then he reads it, and then he'll tell her what he wants to send back, and then she'll write the email and send it back.
Yeah. It would make sense to me for him to have access to something, some situation. Would it not?
That's on the quote. Yeah, it makes sense, but it's going to cost $1,000 for the email 4 times a year. Not very effective.
No, I figured, I don't know if the standard set on something or a laptop, somebody's getting ready to pitch anyhow, so plug it in, let it go.
Well, that's not cabled, so there's going to be cabling costs.
Cabling from
The
where?
boiler to the nearest switch, which is likely your office.
Cabling in the old zoning office.
Mhm.
There's
Yep.
cabling in the old zoning office,
Yep.
yeah. But there's no switch.
See what the quote is.
Okay.
Mainly getting emails. I'll probably one way. I'll be a little slower, but it'll function.
Anything else? Nothing? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Meeting is adjourned.
Mystery?